As some of you may know, Tucker Carlson Uncensored is now part of the Tucker Carlson network on the platform formerly known as Twitter, now called X. And Tucker has a warning for people. If you kill someone else, you might end up in prison. Isn't that incredibly insightful and valid and important advice that Tucker is giving people? This is just getting to be beyond belief. And to be totally honest, Tucker's been doing the conspiracy stuff for a while, but the degree to which his new show, I guess it's called the show, on X is now just overtly regurgitating widely debunked conspiracy theories. Millions may have died from the vaccine or whatever. It's stunning to me that anybody is watching this stuff, but I want to. This is under the umbrella of if they can do it to me, they can do it to you. And this is the latest example of it. Let me set it up. Donald Trump has been insisting since these criminal trials have been, since these indictments have come forward and the criminal trials are pending. Trump has been using this line, when they indicted me, they really indicted you. Or, if they can do it to a former president, they can do it to anybody. And our response, of course, has been, we already knew they can do it to anybody. The question was, could they hold you accountable? Could they hold a former president accountable? We know that when it comes to random people, the people that donate to Trump, go to his rallies, vote for the guy, me, you, everybody else, other than the elites, we've known for a long time that they can do it to us. We can get indicted. The full force of the justice system can come down on us. What we didn't know was, could they do it to a former president? Could they hold a former president accountable? Tucker Carlson is now applying this to Derek Chauvin. And he is saying, listen, Derek Chauvin, the police officer serving 21 years in prison for the murder of George Floyd, what they did, he didn't really do it. And if they can do it to him, they can do it to you. But really, the message is, if you kill someone, you might go to prison, which it's sort of like, yeah, we know, Tucker. We know that. The question was, would a police officer be held accountable? Take a listen to this.
One of the great moral atrocities in the last several years is taking place right before us, and very few are remarking upon it. And it has to do with Derek Chauvin. He's the Minneapolis cop who became famous Memorial Day 2020 when George Floyd died. Chauvin is now serving 21 years in federal prison for murder, for killing George Floyd.
Right.
The problem is he did not murder George Floyd, and we know that conclusively because the medical examiner who performed the autopsy on George Floyd confirmed he was not asphyxiated, he was not choked to death. He most likely died of a drug OD. He had fatal levels of fentanyl in his system, and that's been known for some time, though again, ignored.
Okay, now that is not true. This may shock you, but Tucker Carlson is lying to you, and it's a lie that has been repeated many times to serve a particular group of people that want to believe that. The claim that George Floyd was not asphyxiated and likely died of a drug overdose is not supported by the official autopsy report or the findings of the medical examiner. Tucker and others have repeated that lie. It is a lie. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office, their official report determined that George Floyd's cause of death was cardiopulmonary arrest due to police action, including neck restraint. It is true that Floyd had fentanyl in his system. Good for Tucker for pronouncing it correctly instead of fentanyl. Floyd did have fentanyl in his system. Experts during the trial stated it did not contribute to his death. The medical examiner, Dr. Andrew Baker, clarified that Floyd's use of fentanyl and his heart disease did not cause the neck restraint, which was the primary factor in his death. The autopsy report and the medical examiner's conclusions have not changed since their initial releases, but Tucker continues to lie about it. And what Tucker is essentially saying here is, when you kill someone, it might lead to a murder conviction, which could put you in prison, which is useful information, but information most of us already had.
Ignored to the extent that, well, Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder and sent to prison. And then on November 24th of this year, right after Thanksgiving, Chauvin was stabbed 22 times by another inmate with an improvised knife. Now, the man who stabbed him is a known FBI informant. Derek Chauvin is now out of the hospital and back in Tucson. He is alive. He's still in prison. Gregory Erickson is his lawyer and joins us.
All right. So there's a couple things here that I do think it's important not to mix. When we hear about police officers being stabbed in prison, when we hear about sex offenders being stabbed or sexually assaulted in prison, and there are people on the right and there are people on the left who say they're getting what they deserve, not so much with the police officers being stabbed, but with the sex offenders, rapists, sexual assaulters, pedophiles being attacked in prison. There's, to me, an uncomfortable level of satisfaction with that happening. If we are actually for law and order, due process, and a society that makes sense, we must denounce any extrajudicial punishments that happen in prison. And I know many of you have heard me say this before, but I'll say it again for those that have not. Anytime that happens, it's a failure of the prison system to keep people safe. And so if your instinct is to get some satisfaction that Chauvin is now the victim of violence in prison after he did violence on someone else, it's outside the scope of the punishment. You could say, well, the sentence Chauvin got isn't serious enough. We need to reform the criminal justice system. He should have gotten more time. Okay, now we're talking about above board. If you want to say, well, the child rapist didn't get enough prison time, prison sentence should have been stricter. Okay, we can examine that. We can determine what are the sentencing guidelines. But they deserve to also be raped in prison. That's something that no advocate of law and order or due process or a functional prison system should be in favor of. So with that, I'm totally with Tucker. It was an FBI informant who did it. Remember, they do this thing where they want to play games where an FBI informant, that sounds sort of like an FBI agent, right? Is that kind of the same thing? No, they have nothing to do with each other whatsoever. But the big takeaway here, I mean, listen, if you needed to hear it, Tucker's telling you, if you commit murder, you may end up in prison. That's one of the reasons that it never occurs to me to commit murder. There are many other reasons as well. If other people need more reasons not to kill other people, I'm glad to provide a longer list on another show. No matter your genetics or lifestyle choices, as humans, we all share some basic foundational nutritional needs, and properly replenishing your nutrients daily is important for gut health, stress management, immune system, and that's where our sponsor AG1 comes in. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement. It supports your body's universal needs with something that you can easily absorb and utilize. So instead of a multivitamin or fumbling around with 10 different vitamin bottles, I've just replaced all of it with one scoop of AG1. I get the vitamins, the minerals, the prebiotics, the probiotics, all the stuff I'm looking for. It's delicious. It goes great in a smoothie. You can drink it straight with water like I do in the morning before my famous cappuccino. I've been doing it for years. You're just covering your nutritional basis for the whole day. It's simple. You don't have to buy a bunch of different vitamins. My audience knows I don't advertise miracle solutions and cures, and there's no miracle cure or solution here. It's just a simple product that works, that replaces the clumsiness and the cost of a ton of different vitamins. Go to drinkag1.com/Pacman. You'll get 5 free travel packs of AG1 and a free year's supply of vitamin D, which, as I've said, I take in the winter when there's a lot less sun out. The link is down below.